it's one of those cool deals. I have the opportunity in my profession, traveling all over the country, I'm fishing with different people and hunting with different people. I'm a pretty good judge of character, and it didn't take me long this morning to figure out Tony really had his game together. Like he's serious about the duck hunt. The way they place the blinds, the way they grew the cane, you know, get the cane started, then you have a natural blind. The next year when you come back, you know, this cane growing, you know, from the way I noticed this morning, the way he had his decoy placement. You know, he didn't just throw decoys out at random, and, you know, he had them fixed up for the wind. I mean, we were set up perfect this morning. The sun came up to our back. We got the north wind to our back. You know, the ducks are coming into our face. I mean, everything from the way he called. You know, he knew exactly the right times to call, not to call too much. He called loud when he needed to, and he called soft when he needed to. And he changed his call by the species of the duck, you know, depending on what was working at the time. Anytime you have the opportunity to go with somebody like that, you really need to do it because it's a learning experience.
You know, a lot of times you're out there in the marsh and you hear people just calling, and they're really calling too loud, or they're calling too much. So you have to vary the situation to what you got going on. If a bird is far, far off and you really want to call them hard and get them to turn towards you, you give them a lot of volume. You might want to give them a little welcome call. As you see, they're getting closer and closer. A little 3 quack or a 4 quack. When the ducks get real close, you know, just a little simple feed call. Or maybe a simple quack. But if they're coming in hot and they're coming right towards you, you might just want to shut up and be quiet and let them come on in. Every situation is different, every area is different, but out here in the marsh, that's been effective for us, put it that way. Depending upon the wind, that's always a big thing with decoy placement at your blinds. We've had a wind at our back, kind of a perfect wind for this blind, so basically what I did was just set up one big pod to the left and one big pod to the right, and I'll scatter a few right here in front of the blind. This is a blind made of natural roseau cane. Over the years, we've planted the cane down in front of the boat blind. We have a boat blind stuck in there. And over the years, it grows up. And all we have to do is just chop it down. A lot of these islands that you see out here from in different places will be this very same thing. People who have taken roseau and just cracked it in half. And over the years, it's grown up and made a natural blind.
The dog work was incredible. I mean, Tony's dog is, you know, I think out of the limit of ducks that we killed, maybe one she actually saw fall. I mean, blind retrieve on every duck. I mean, by far the best dog I've ever had the opportunity to hunting with. That was the cool thing about some stories that came out last night about horror stories with a bad lab. And you know, that's just something that I think everybody has had to deal with at some time. So that's and cool. And then watching his dog work was extraordinary. I mean, she really was. I mean, every retrieve's a blind retrieve. That's the hardest retrieve there is. Other thing, all the ducks are falling downwind of her. So she doesn't have an opportunity to smell them, you know, until she gets out of the blind. And, you know, Tony's working her on hand signals. And I mean, that in itself was worth the trip.